Total Quality Management, TQM. The concept, students, it just encompasses quality management. I cannot talk of it as something standardized. It's basically introducing quality management in the organization. Management approach, long-term success. You want long-term success, of course, through customer satisfaction. So customer satisfaction is important. That is why the emphasis on quality. Total organizational involvement in improving products, services, process, and the culture and the overall culture. There is actually no one widely agreed approach, no single approach. Okay. Again, let us look at the history of TQM and we'll come back to Dr. Deming. In the late 70s and the early 80s, the Western world was facing a lot of competition from Japanese products. The quality of the products were better and they had lower costs. It was at this point in time that on the American television, a series, NBC, telecast and the episode called If Japan Can, Why Can't We? With the broadcast of this, which also had Dr. Deming's, which also mentioned Dr. Deming's contribution, his efforts in Japan, there was a sudden demand for Dr. Deming's services. He had come back to the US in 1960 and was involved in his own consulting practice. He was hardly known. But with the telecast of this, with the sudden interest in the works of Dr. Deming's, it was total quality management was introduced in the US Navy, in the US federal government, and the private sector also came forward. In fact, Ford Motors appointed Dr. Deming. And one of the first things that Dr. Deming said was that 85% of the problems at Ford was due to the management and not the bad worker force. Ford had been suffering losses for the last 3 years, but after having slowly introduced total quality management, within 4 years' time, they were the top. They were the most profitable automakers in America. And the chairman also acknowledged that most of their success was due to Dr. Deming's contributions, his teachings. TQM became very popular in the 80s and the 90s, but was then replaced later with concepts of lean manufacturing and so. TQM and ABM, if you take, what happens is if you have an activity-based management, activities and their cost drivers have already been identified, so it becomes easier to analyze the process performance, correct? And therefore, it is easier to introduce a quality management system. Also, the costs of quality, which I said again, costs of quality can also be identified so that you have a proper measure for total quality management. I repeat, cost of quality, what it is, what are the costs. If you try to do quality and if you don't do quality management, we shall discuss in a bit, students. If commitment to quality is high, productivity is high, and the number of defectives reduce. Therefore, reworking costs are reduced. If you were not stressing on quality, you would have to inspect all the work that is produced. Then there would be defectives. They would have to be taken out. There would be further labor spent on reworking, and so on and so forth. Yes or no? So the idea is commit to quality, productivity will improve, defectives will reduce. Overall, the total costs are expected to come down. Yes or no? We'll have a more efficient process in place. Non-value adding activities again would be cut off. Again, there is a reduction in cost. And let us have a commitment of doing it the first time, not inspection, first defect, second correction, and so on and so forth. Okay. With this, total overall cost will come down with improvement in quality. Students, I couldn't resist just putting up the 14 points. He was such a visionary. It's so relevant even today. I'm just mentioning it. You need not go through this at all, but you are all going to be managers at some point in time. And I thought that some understanding, some exposure to some of Deming's ideas, some of his thoughts would be relevant, would be useful. If you do not want to go through this, the next 2 minutes, this video, you can totally skip. And I don't think you will get an MCQ, a multiple choice question from this, but I think it could be relevant in your future careers. So just for a slight glimpse, so to say, of the thoughts of this great personality. Create constancy of purpose towards improvement. Let us not have this short-term thing. Plan long-term. Not try to improve for tomorrow, not the profits for tomorrow. Let us do long-term planning. Adopt the new philosophy, he said, meaning that the management should adopt the philosophy and not just expect workforce to do. You know what he said? He said that if you have a very good worker in a bad system, it is the system which is going to win, not the good worker. Followed? So let management understand that it is the management's responsibility also, and not just expect workforce to increase its productivity or improve quality without having supporting processes and systems. Next, he said, cease dependence on inspection. He said, why do you want to inspect? There is no need to inspect manufactured items for defects because there won't be any. So no inspection is what he said. It should not be required. Be correct the first time. Another thought he said was to have a single supplier so that you do not have variation in your input. Improve constantly and forever, always, continuously, constantly strive to reduce variation. Training on the job. He emphasized this. If people are not properly trained, how can they deliver the goods? So he said, have training on the job. Only then they will understand the work, understand the process. Not only will they be able to work efficiently, they will also be in a position to innovate. Institute leadership. Leadership is not the same as supervision. It is different. Deming made a distinction between leadership and supervision, and he said supervision is only target-based, quota-based. Have true leaders, people with vision. Drive out fear. So interesting, students. What he said was so many years back. Management by fear, he says, is counterproductive in the long run. It prevents workers from acting in the organization's best interest. He always said, let the workers not be fearful in an organization. Let them strive to do their best. Let mistakes be accepted. Let people not be afraid to make mistakes. Break down barriers between departments. He said, is this concept of internal customer students. Remember, the internal customers, so that each department is not only serving the external customer but also internally it's also serving the other departments which use its output. You remember what one example I had said was the HR department, its services, the workers in the factory, the workers on the shop floor, they are the customers to the HR department's services. Yes or no? So HR department also should improve its quality of services to its internal customer. Eliminate slogans. He did not believe in sloganeering. It's the process. He always said it's not people but the process that makes the mistakes. So harassing the workforce without improving processes is counterproductive. Don't just have slogans of this target to be reached or that target to be reached when the infrastructure is not supportive. Eliminate management by objectives. He saw production targets as encouraging the delivery of poor quality goods. You try to only increase the production, it might, if that is the only sole focus, not an overall improvement. So see, what he is always stressing in has not been on productivity but on quality. He says this will automatically improve productivity and reduce the total costs. Remove barriers, another very important thing. Remove barriers to the pride of workmanship. Many of the problems outlined above reduce worker satisfaction. Let the worker take pride in his work. A satisfied, motivated employee workforce will take any organization forward by leaps and bounds. Institute education and self-improvement. Always encourage self-improvement. And transformation, mind you, is everyone's job. Don't think it is the chairman's job. It's not the CEO's job. Transformation should be everyone's job. There should be a sense of belonging, a sense of participation, a sense of pride. Thank you, students, for your patience. I did want to share some of his ideas with you. Let's move on to the next topic.